Fresh ragu meat. I mean, I hope not. I hope you don't, you know.
Hi team, welcome to the Escape Podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. This week we're going to talk about all the official and community resources that are out there for Star Wars The Old Republic, in-game, or mostly out-of-game. And I'm going to start that whole intro over. Hi team, welcome to the Escape Podcast for Star Wars The Old Republic. This week we're going to talk all about the official and community resources available for SWTOR outside the game. That's podcasts, websites, blogs, and other tools. We'll also talk about the fun stuff going on in our guild at Leia Yacta Est. Our astromech today is EPC98, who will be broadcasting the show from outside SWTOR, and he has a quick comment about SWTOR tools. Is that the case, buddy? Wait. Well, what? You're saying I'm a SWTOR tool? Shut it and get in the pod. All right. With me, as always, is Seema. Hi, Seema. How's that midnight rackling?
Yes, thank you for bringing up midnight rackling. I finally did not forget to go get this guy during the event. So some guildies last night were nice enough to come with me, and we went to Can Under Siege and did the rackling boss in there, and I got my midnight rackling. So yay! Thank you guys. And then let's see. Oh, another thing I didn't forget to do, I just remembered to spend, I had a stack of 30 of those smuggler coins on a character that I rarely play. And every time during the year I run into that, and I see that in his inventory, I go, damn it, I gotta remember to spend those. So I went and spent those, and I got a golden certificate, yay, which is more than I've gotten on SEMA so far. So yeah, yes. Gambling not going well for me.
No.
But I have a question for you, Max.
Yes.
I want to ask you about tanking naked.
So, I think we even talked about this last week. I think I joked about it. And then I joked about it earlier in the night on Sunday on our ops night. We were short some people. Matt Gryffindor from the chat room, who's actually in the chat room right now, jumped in and helped us out. We did Group Finder just because we figured we wanted to do something fun and random for comms. And I was the second tank, and I tanked, I mean, it was level 50 content, and because it was Group Finder, I'm sure it was bolstered, but I tanked all of Terra from Beyond naked. Because my two tanks, my Vanguard and my Power Tech, share a set of legacy gear, and we talked about how that works. You put it in the legacy gear, you put it in your legacy storage, you can switch it back and forth, which is great. It saves me from having to I don't play my Vanguard very often, but on the rare occasion that I do, then I can send that gear over and use it, which I apparently did, because my Power Tech, when I looked later in the day, after we got out of TFB, I hit my character sheet and it was empty. So, but it worked.
Thank God for bolster.
All of TFB, I mean, you're over level for the content anyway, and yes, it must have been the bolster, but tanking the tentacles at the end, doing the tank swap on the boss,
yeah, everything.
It was perfectly fine. So tank
yeah,
naked.
Yeah, it was.
That's the new thing.
It was definitely. It worked fine. So yeah, if you're going to go into Group Finder and do those bolstered instances, apparently you do not need armor.
Nope.
We should all go in naked next time.
Yes, we should. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, let's see how much bolster really gets us. But that's my naked news for the week. Let's 1 sec. So, side note for the chat room, I also spent some time putting my PC in a new case and installing a new hard drive this week. And as part of that, I had to update the locations for all of my sound effects and everything, and one that I apparently did not update correctly was the news sound effect. So now we are ready. Let's
nice.
Let's hear some news.
Now an Imperial News Network report.
So to kick off the news, the nightlife event continues. it is going to continue for a lot of the summer, just continuing to mention it because we do have people that are playing the slots and spending tens of credits and getting Rancors. So, Apollos, one of our Canadians.
Not me. Yeah. Grats, Apollos.
So,
I mean,
yeah.
Grats, Apollos.
Grats to all of you out there who are getting your Rancors this time around. I will probably sink some more credits into it, but I do not expect to get a Rancor. So that's where that stands.
You know what? I don't even regret the credits. I don't want to spend the time doing it. Like if they had like one where you could say, okay, I'll just put in 10,000 credits at once, and it'll go ding 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 and run them all at once. I would do that. But
that's actually yeah, they should get a new slot machine out there. You could just play a stack, like a stack of 99 green tokens all at once.
Right. The green tokens, right. I don't want to buy the blue tokens. I just want to play a stack at a time. Just shove them in there all at once.
I would do that.
Pour them in there from my red plastic cup. Oh, and next, okay, community cantina details are available now. So the next community cantina is in San Diego, July 11th, and they announced it a while back, but they have posted more info on the details of that day. So they posted a schedule. It's on SWTOR.com, but it starts early in the day, 11 a.m. So it starts with a 2-hour meet and greet. The developers and staff will be there, a photo op with the 501st Legion. And then from 1 to 2, they have what they're calling a Sacrifice Cinematic Story Panel. So you can go and talk to Charles Boyd, who's the lead writer, and the producers about the Sacrifice trailer itself. And they've been asking people what kind of questions they might want to hear the answers to. So there's a pretty interesting thread about that as a good read. And if you have questions that you'd like to have surface there, you should go check it out on SWTOR.com, just the community forums. But it looks like they're repeating it. So they have a meet and greet from 11 to 1, and then the panel from 1 to 2, and then meet and greet again from 2 to 3, and panel again from 3 to 4. So maybe they're trying to I mean, I'm sure you can go for the whole thing, but maybe they're trying to arrange it so you can go whichever works for you. And then in the evening they'll have the normal, more drunken meet and greet where there'll be swags, drinks, developer Q&A, the sort of conventional part of the cantina.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you're going to be there, I mean, I think it sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Right.
And they said they might even have some people there from Blur who made the trailer. So that would be pretty interesting to hear anything that those guys might have to say.
That would be. They're definitely some talented people. So it'd be interesting to hear anything they have to say. So I'm looking forward to hearing that. Hopefully we'll get some higher quality than shaky cell phone video from...
I hope they live stream it. Yeah, that is one of the questions that somebody asked in that thread. And yeah, I like it when they live stream it.
Yep. Better
than when we have to use somebody's cell phone to see it.
Also in the news, they have announced at least what the categories of rewards are for PvP Season 5. So the gladiatorial rewards is how they've described it. They haven't shown the weapon skins that I can see. And the key reward for the higher level is the Nexu mount. But it will be the crystal for the lower levels, the weapons for the medium and high levels, and the Nexu mount for the highest levels, along with the usual titles and portraits. So that is up on the SWTOR.com blog if you want to go check that out and see where your rating falls and see what that looks like for you. In guild news, our ops teams continue to run, and some of them run with naked tanks, apparently. The sub-ops team is running on the imp side on Wednesday nights. The SOL team is running on the Republic side on Monday nights, and I think can still use a member. Sten, one of our resident Canadians, is running that team, so check in with him on the forums. And our Lords of Light Imperial Ops team, which Seema and I are on, is running on Thursday and Sunday nights. And over the course of the summer, it sounds like we're going to have some people in and out. We had somebody on vacation. One of our Sorks was away on business this week. Another Sork was is moving houses. Ori, the House Jedi on Twitter, and we needed to fill in a couple spots. I was happy to see in the chat room that we had someone speak up, and it was Matt Gryffindor out of the Twitch chat room who spoke up last night. So we pulled him in. Let me know if people want to sub in. It would be great to pull people into that.
Yeah, and it was really fun running with Matt Gryffindor. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Very good tank. He did a great job. Anything we threw at him. We did some fun stuff. We did some hard mode Malifar.
He probably wore armor. I mean, that's our standard for a good tank.
Yeah,
they wear armor.
He wasn't naked. How was Mandatory Fun Night look, Seema?
Mandatory Fun Night. Oh, we're gonna do Nightmare at Karagas Palace this week. Although, I was noticing that I still need the achievement for like story mode Karagas Palace.
Really?
I know.
And the nightmare mode won't count, will it?
No, which is
that's crazy.
Silly, but yeah. So Karagas Palace, which that'll be fun. That takes us a very short amount of time too, so we'll probably tack on something to the end of that. Maybe. Well, I don't want to speculate.
Something fun.
Maybe something Ziostian. I don't know.
Regardless of what it is, you will have fun. It is mandatory.
Right.
I was gonna say you and I could probably just go in 2-man Karaga's Palace, but I guess that might be a little difficult especially with the puzzle boss. So I wonder what the minimum you would need to do. You need people in story mode. You only need one person that could probably run back and forth on the consoles, and maybe 2 people. If just another person just DPSs the boss down.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it's because the only reason I want to do it is to get the vehicle quest out of my log. But the last 2 things in there are the story. One of the
I know,
yes.
That's the reward. It's an empty yes, slot. In your,
that is the highest reward.
in your.
Yeah.
So
that heavy. I only need to do heavy fabricator and Karaga.
And of
course,
course,
wait, that's on hard mode. Nightmare should count on hard mode. Oh well.
It should. I would think it should. They should give it to you.
But they haven't.
Shout out to the chat room. Beware 2 was our winner last week of the Cartel Pack giveaway at the end of the podcast last week. I don't think I ever got from you a character name and server, so we got to trade that information so I can get you that Cartel Pack ASAP. We've got a whole crew in the chat room tonight as well. Thanks for chiming in, everybody. We did a little bit of discussion before the show on a couple of the resources that we're going to be talking about tonight and got some good suggestions. So I really appreciate everybody showing up and participating. It's becoming a great part of the show. But with that, I think we can talk about our segment of community resources.
Many Bothans died to bring us this information.
Many, many, many Bothans, because there's a lot of information that we have to go through. So we don't have to do this exhaustively.
There's still more Bothans. That's okay.
As I was preparing for this, there's still more Bothans. We'll keep killing them until I say stop. Did I say stop? I did not. I was surprised at the number of resources. I knew there was a bunch that I went to on a regular basis, and I was aware of many. But I even found some that I wasn't aware of, or other older ones that I had forgotten about. So when I tried to make this exhaustive list, when Seema and I were putting this together for tonight, it is quite an extensive list of community resources. So this is fun. This is good to see.
Yeah.
Let's start it off, I guess, with the official resources, which is the official website, SWTOR.com. They have the number one resource that I go to check out what's going on in terms of news from the official sources is in the forums. If you click on the community page, there's a link over on the right before you actually click on any of the forums that says Dev Tracker. And what that will show you is any posts that the devs have made recently in any of the forums. I find that to be the most useful place just to find out what they're talking about lately, because it seems if they're going to post news elsewhere on the blog or on patch notes, they'll throw it out in the forums also, and then it shows up in the dev tracker. What do you do, Seema? Same thing? Do you go to dev tracker first?
Well, what I do is I just Google SWTOR dev tracker.
Okay.
And then I go to the link that way.
And it pops right out.
Because I'm lazy, so that's how I do it. But yeah, I check out dev tracker first, and then it actually it's like a little web. So sometimes it'll be something that piques my interest, and then I'll go, I'll find out more about that and see what they were really thinking of that or what other people are responding to on that. And then the other thing I do is the next thing you have on the list is I always check the blog, because that is, to me, that's what BioWare wants us to know about, right? Because if they make a blog entry about it, then that's going to be how they do their bigger announcements.
Right. So a lot of those blog entries do show up when you just go to the home page. They show up in the rotating big picture sort of ad thing that shows up at the top of the page. If you page through those, you might get a note in there. Hey, rat ghouls are here. Hey, new trailers released. So you can. And
you can follow the dev tracker on Twitter, by the way.
Really? Is that an official?
Yeah, so you can get it real time. Yeah, there's official. Yeah.
See, even more resources. So, but that's another official resource. They have a few Twitter feeds that you can follow on Twitter, and then a lot of the community and team members and some of the developers have Twitter handles where they talk about SWTOR and other things. So Eric Musco's on there, Tate's on there. So you can track those people down, and I keep an eye on some of those as well, just to hear when news is breaking.
There's also an official Instagram.
That's right, there is.
From SWTOR too. So if you are an Instagram person, you can follow that on Instagram. But it's has pictures.
Yeah. Have they done much with it lately? They did some in the beginning.
No, not really. It seems kind of spotty. But sometimes they'll have something on Instagram but not on Twitter, or something on Twitter but not on Instagram. So I kind of feel like it's worth it to follow both. I don't know.
Got it. Sorry, I was just pausing for just a second. The stream quality was dropping. Yeah, so there's those. The only other page that I go to on a regular basis, which is actually hard to track down, so usually I find it either on DevTracker or other places that they post on Twitter, but is the patch notes page. So the patch notes page, I don't even know, I couldn't even tell you where it is. So you can search for it on the site, you can find it, you can search for it on Google. It does get updated. There's a PTS one, and then there's a public servers patch notes page. That is a useful resource, because then you can look at exactly what is in the patch notes and what's going on lately. So I'd recommend checking that out if you're interested in that as that content gets released.
The very complicated link for that is SWTOR.com/patch notes.
No, can't be. That's impossible. All right. See, I'm learning things all the time, and learning is half the battle.
Right.
Okay. Another outside of the official resources, there's a whole category of resources from the community that we really like called podcasts. So our favorite podcast, of course, is the SWTOR Escape podcast. Although I would say that is tied for me with a bunch of really good podcasts out there. It's really hard to say to pick a favorite amongst all of the podcasts out there. I think we have a community of some really great podcasters all across all of the podcasts that are regular, and some that just go on once in a while. Utini with Tio and Chill is one of my favorite. Bad Feelings podcast with Chuck and Brian is really fun. We tend to talk to these guys all the time across all these podcasts. We've done things like the Galactic Gamers Coalition, where podcasters from all of the podcasts will get together and on a monthly basis and do a podcast with everyone talking together. What are some of the other ones that are your favorites, Seema?
Well, I mean, my favorites are Utini Cast and Bad Feelings Podcast. I mean, those guys, Utini, they do so much. They put so much work into their production, and they cover the news in the, you know, if all you did was listen to Utini Cast, you'd be up to date on everything SWTOR related all the time. And then Bad Feelings Podcast, both of these podcasts, because they clearly, I mean, they care about the game. It's a big part of their lives, and they are very into it. So I like that. But I mean, there's also to mention the others. There's Corellian Run with JT Hollinet and Heather.
Yep, those guys are great.
That's Corellian Run Radio, and another one that was a favorite of mine, Healing SWTOR. I was just checking the link today, and it doesn't seem to be reachable right now. So I don't know if he's on to other things or if he's having like server problems. But I like his he does a completely different style of podcasting where he just sits down at his computer and just stream of consciousness does something whenever he gets an idea or something that he wants to impart.
Yeah.
And so his podcasts are usually like 15 minutes or even shorter or a little bit longer or whatever. And his focus is obviously on healing. But he does all three classes.
Yeah, that is really good format and really good content. Really interesting content that you can take and use to become a better healer. So that's pretty cool. I like also Beyond the Stars, StarWarsBeyond.com, and that's another couple podcasters that I know. Fred, aka Sith Lord Corv, who's a person that you've probably heard on the Galactic Gamers podcast and has been on a couple other podcasts. Lewis, Paige, and they have guests from time to time. That's a fun podcast. I know we'll talk about Tor Community when we talk about some of the websites, but Tor Community has a couple podcasts running under that umbrella, and one of them is from May, Maybe Buzz on Twitter, and she's doing the SWTOR Buzz podcast, and that's a shorter one. So she does that in sort of like that 6 to 10 minute segment just to drop in what the latest news is. So if it's not that much news, it'll be shorter. If it's a little more news, it'll be longer, but it's just the news. So she'll just go through the news. And then she does a second one with called Live from the Void Star, which is a PvP-centric podcast between herself and Zamzam, I think, is the character name. I forgot what her name is. But Zamzam Says, I think, might be her Twitter handle or something like that. And she's got a blog that's called Zamzam Says. But she's an Australian player, I believe, and does some PvP and May PvPs very regularly. So they have some thoughts that they talk about there. Enmity podcast has been going on for quite a while, and that's Rondo and Big. I didn't know too much about these guys, but lately I keep seeing their name come up on some of the other resources I watch for podcast feeds, and they have a fun podcast too, so that's a good one to check out. And then I wanted to do a shout out to one of our pals, Rode, who just retired the Toro Cast, which was a long-running Star Wars podcast, so he can go off and do other things, including real-life things like move states and move his house between states and things like that. But that was a great podcast, and hats off to Rode, May, and SWTOR Minor, who were running Toro Cast up until the end. Other resources, next category, which I do get a lot of use out of, and even more than I thought. In fact, I didn't include this category to start, but I was surprised that I didn't, now that I think about how much I use just YouTube in general. So YouTube. Whenever I'm looking for boss strats, YouTube is probably
Yeah.
the second place I tend to go, because it's nice to see the videos, see the fights in action. There's some very good video casters who are doing just videos, so they're not really doing like a podcast or episodic, but they'll do guides and walkthroughs and previews. Volk is one who I really like. He's doing a lot of streaming lately, and he's produced a lot of videos of some guides and walkthroughs and previews, PTS views, things like that. He does a great job. SWTOR Healing Sage. There's this one I just happened to see today from a guy named SWTOR Snoopy, who has a series of podcasts, or a series of just videos on YouTube of him healing in PvP, and it's a little frenetic, a little frantic, but fun. And then there's just tons of just the strats and other videos. Some from some of the bigger sites that we'll talk about, but some of the smaller ones too. I keep forgetting to get the link from you, Seema. I know there's a really good YouTube video that shows the tips and tactics for jumping around and doing the jumping puzzles in Star Wars, right?
Yeah, from Kuze. I mean, if you just Google Kuze jumping in SWTOR or something, you probably get it. Yeah, that is really good. I mean, it's like 20 or 30 minutes long, but it basically teaches you how to do any kind of puzzle jumping in the game if you just follow his tips.
So if you ever wanted to do something like the +10 endurance datacron on Makeb and do it for real and not just get guild ship summoned by my guy.
Although we will summon you if you're on Jedi Covenant if you want that datacron.
But if you're going to do something like that, it definitely pays to go through that video and get all the tips for jumping, because it can get really frustrating to spend like the 15 minutes it might take to get to that last jump, and you know, those last 2 jumps and then miss it. That would be crazy. We did mention some Twitter already. There's the official Twitter handles from the devs and the community leads and from Star Wars, but everybody's on Twitter, or a good percentage of the community people who have websites and blogs and podcasts are on Twitter. A special shout out on Twitter is a player named Madmar, and he started a follow list on Twitter way back in the day called SWTOR Family. He continues to curate that list, and he continues to follow back people on Twitter all around SWTOR Family, and has done a great job in curating that and keeping that list alive in Twitter and keeping people connected into that Twitter community. So thank you to Madmar.
Yes.
And I understand you're on Twitter, aren't you, Seema?
Yeah. AI Zima.
AI
And Max, you might be on Twitter also, right?
I am at Max the Gray. So catch us and please follow us on Twitter. We need more followers, I guess. Do we?
Yeah, because I have so much wisdom to impart between. Yeah, you need to follow me.
I don't even know what I've been tweeting lately. I think pictures of food that I've been making.
I've been mostly.
I'm so impressed with myself when I like making things, and I consider cooking sort of like a maker thing. So
I need more. I need a better Twitter client though. TweetDeck is not doing it for me very well.
Right. TweetDeck. I use TweetDeck as my main Twitter client, and it does the job well enough. But back when it was independent before Twitter bought it, they were just going above and beyond and adding features and refining it and developing it over time. I was much happier with it back then. I think Twitter is putting all of their resources front and center into the site, and that's where their focus is, and that's fine. I wish they would focus more on TweetDeck and keep that developing.
But Twitter is all about editing. I mean, you could easily follow 500 people, all with SWTOR, resources and interesting things to say, but you can't follow. I mean, you can't read all that. So.
And I do follow hundreds, yes, but that's why you need a client like that, a tool,
Right.
cull that list
Right.
down. So then I have multiple columns where I have subsets of that overall follower list where I'm focused on, okay, what's the latest SWTOR news? Then my Taylor Swift feed can be out of that one. What else? Websites and blogs. What's the top website that you would say that's out there, Seema?
I mean, I know this will come as a shock to everyone, but Dolphy.
Yes.
And I'm more and more I'm using Reddit too.
I would say I'm on Reddit more than I'm on Dolphy. But in terms of community websites, Dolphy is one of the oldest websites and one of the best SWTOR websites resources out there today for guides, for boss strategies, for news, stuff in the cartel market.
Like
packs.
if I went to a planet and I had forgotten where I left off and couldn't figure out what to do next, I would go to Dolphy and start looking up quests and stuff. I mean, it's a terrific resource for that.
Yep.
And when we do a boss, I will always check the Dolphy guides first because I can quickly scan through them, and then I might after that go to YouTube and actually watch somebody do it. But I usually start with Dolphy,
including Dolphy and her team, who does a lot of those. I think
Yeah.
another website, and we'll talk about Reddit in a second too, but another website which, again, that broad set of guides and tools now, torcommunity.com is growing and getting more and more of that and becoming more comprehensive. So I think they're doing a good job there to sort of be another one of those right up there with Dolphy, another comprehensive site. One of the things I really like...
The thing I like about...
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was going to say the thing I like about Tor Community is the database.
Yeah.
And so and we haven't had a resource like this with SWTOR for a long time, so people may have forgotten the value of it, but you can do all kinds of crazy things if you can do a database search. And like right before the show, the one that I did was I found that you could go to a category of pets and search on the name Racklings, and it'll find every type of Rackling pet there is in the game. So just by doing that, I found easily that there's 10 different Racklings, and then I can look at that list and see, which Racklings I don't have. That's my idea of how you use a database, and it's right on.
Yeah. There's another tool, and I don't know how they do this. I'd be interested to learn the science behind it. But they have a 3D model viewer also. So what they've done is they have SWTOR Miner is one of the team members who's working with them, and I think he might be helping them along with some other tools that they have to pull some of the models out of the game and give you a 3D view of the actual models that you can manipulate and take a look at, which is pretty cool. So that, I think, is a great resource. And then, as we said, they've got a couple podcasts that they're continuing to develop. May is part of the Tor community leadership and working on that, as is Hayward, who does some streaming. So they're sort of covering the gamut of resources and tools and developing more tools as they go as well. So let's talk about Reddit. Reddit is probably the first place I go to on a daily basis to go look for SWTOR news. Even before the dev tracker. First thing I do is go to Reddit. I just check out Reddit because I don't know. I'm gotten hooked on just checking Reddit in general on a couple different subreddits. A couple of my other favorite podcasts have some good subreddits, like Daily Tech News Show with Tom Merritt, one of my favorite podcasts of all time and one of my favorite podcasters. I think I've said that before. My podcaster crush on Tom Merritt.
Yes.
But so Reddit's got a bunch of resources there, and you get some those posts that float to the top, and which is sort of the things that are being most discussed. You'll always be able to find the things that show up on the dev tracker are usually posted on Reddit as well, so you'll see the logo and be able to pick them up pretty quick. But breaking news tends to show up there, so you can find that, which is interesting. And then you can get a little bit, the discussions can get a little rough, but you can really get some interesting dialogue going on in the Reddit
Right.
conversation as well. I think
Things that you didn't even know were an issue.
Yes.
You can sometimes find out on Reddit. So
Yes.
that's a cool. Yeah.
And it's the SWTOR subreddit is relatively
Well
civil.
behaved.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is a good resource. Let's running through a couple other of the websites which I like. I really like SWTORista. I think she's done a good job in putting together a good fashion website. There's another fashion website called Tor Fashion, which I think is one of Delphi's friends, and she promotes that site as well off of her site. Tor Decorating and Tor Fashion are part of a group of sites developed by one person. So I like SWTORista and Tor Fashion to be able to look at, especially now with the Custom Designer. Those are good resources. Do you go and paw through there, Seema?
I do, because it helps me to look at what other people have put together as outfits. Helps me think about, oh, okay, yeah, I don't know what that piece is, and then I can go find it either on the GTN or the Cartel Market or whatever.
Yeah. Just a quick couple other websites. Hyperspacebeacon.com. They're doing a good job over there. SWTORtools.com has three other sites sort of below it underneath its category of conquest tracking, events tracking, and cartel market price tracking, which is pretty interesting. So that's continuing to be worked on. I didn't know about this until I looked in. So if you go on the right side on Reddit, it's got a list of the podcasters and streamers and other sites and resources. SWTORUI.com. I think I had heard of that before, and forgot about it, or I don't know. But you can go there and get UI customization. I think you can even download UI customizations that match what different people have done to sort of optimize their view of the UI. So if you go hit escape and go to interface editor, you can load in interface maps.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
So that's an interesting site. SWTOR Economics is relatively new. Well, maybe not anymore. That's 6 months old now. He's done a good job blogging about sort of topics around how the market works and different things you might want to think about when you're dealing with the market in Star Wars. That's a fun site. Here's a site which I think maybe we'll even do a podcast about at some point, which is SWTOR-RP.com. There is a role-playing community inside of Star Wars The Old Republic, and it's something I don't know as much about that as I would like to. I'd like to find out more about it, so maybe we'll do a whole segment and dive.
Yeah, I poked into it one day, and there's quite a number of resources out there if you do want to RP in the Star Wars world.
So I will have to check out those resources so I can get better than my current role-playing techniques of, yo, hail and well met, good sir. Like
that's your Lotro role play.
Like hail and well met and whatnot.
But one site I do always check every week is SWTORnetwork.com.
Yes.
And this is like an aggregator site. So, and he does articles on his own too, but it's just a very neat, clean presentation. He'll do like a little summary of Dev Tracker. He'll do he has links in there to all the recent blog posts from all the blogs that he follows, links to that week's podcasts. I mean, it's just a good resource, and it's a quick way to look and see, has there been any good big news this week that I've missed or whatever.
Yep. And one that ShadowCon in the chat room mentioned before the show, which I do really like as well, and I did not know about until now, was melodiescodexmaps.com. melodiescodexmaps.com, which has codex, basically a bunch of guides and resources around datacrons, locations in the game, the lore objects, the place where you can find the beasts that you need to kill to get codex entries for all that kind of stuff.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Streaming. So streaming is becoming a bigger and bigger part of the community, I think across gaming in general, but definitely for Star Wars as well. There's been even some forays from the official, well, they'll stream some of their gameplay and their community events. There'll be an official stream, so you can check out the SWTOR and the BioWare streams themselves. But we're getting a growing number of regular streamers that are Star Wars players primarily that are getting pretty popular. And I think one of the most popular out there is Snave. So I don't know if people recognize that name, but he's got a very popular stream community that he's developing, and is a fun guy to watch. He's got an interesting personality, so you could check him out. Volk is getting more and more followers on streaming as well. I like to watch Chill from time to time. I like to watch Redna. Madmar has streamed from time to time. I remember when the first time the Nar Shaddaa event, the gambling event, hit the PTS. I watched Madmar get on it because I couldn't get on the PTS at the time. And he's got a really nice Scottish accent, so it was fun to listen.
Oh, sweet!
To listen to him saying, oh, "Put in another chip. Put in another chip." So that was good. Hayward of Tor Community, as I mentioned, he streams from time to time. May, I know, streams. I think Zamzam streams from time to time. Pocket, I think Pocket still streams some Star Wars. She streams lots of other things too. If you go on Reddit again on the right-hand side, there's a whole list of streamers. And of course, AIE has some streamers. I do stream our Tuesday night event, our Thursday ops group, our Sunday ops group, and then once in a while on other nights too. So check out twitch.tv/newoverlords.
And watch Max do just about anything.
Yes.
Including Tank Naked.
You can. Maybe I'm going to have to make that a regular stream event.
I always thought that you were crazy, but now I can see you're nuts.
Wow. That was excellent. And to wrap it up, we'd touch on, there are a bunch of tools out there, and they've got their own website associated with them. And I'm not talking about Max the Gray.
He said tool.
We do use different parsers. That's one of the third-party tools that you can grab. Parsec is one, StarParse is another. Those are a couple of the top ones. There are more of those being developed from time to time. There's a character tracker that I haven't had a chance to look at, but it's getting talked up in Reddit right now. You might want to check out. I wonder if that'll continue to get developed. There's things like that 3D model viewer on Tor Community that's being developed. And there's a bunch of, as the chat room was mentioning, there's a bunch of mobile apps also that I almost forgot about. I always have on hand, and there's even on Windows Phone, my redheaded stepchild of the mobile community.
Yeah. Even on Windows Phone.
A pylon solver. So if you do Eternity Vault on a regular basis, we can pretty much ignore it and just keep spinning until we get to it nowadays because we're over-leveled.
Yeah, right.
But back in the day, you wanted the pylon solver, so you knew the minimum number of spins you could get to unlock the pylons and not have to wipe because those big things kept coming out and chomping on you. So that is a good resource as well. And the chat room is reminding me, even another AIE streamer, the Corley, does stream on the Wednesday nights for the Sup Ops team and some other nights as well. Any other tools or mobile apps that you know of, Seema, that you're...
No, but I actually hadn't thought about it until someone in the chat room mentioned it. That there's some mobile apps for tracking and finding datacrons and stuff, which sounds like an awesome way to use a mobile app. So I'm going to look into those.
Yeah, a little pocket reference would be a great idea. It's something I've thought about from time to time, taking some of the tools that I have on newoverlords.com, the spreadsheets, and making a little pocket version of it, I think would be interesting. I would like that. So check out those as well. And I think that's a pretty good rundown. So we've hit tools, streams, websites, blogs. There's definitely a bunch of bloggers out there. We sort of glossed over that. A couple of those personalities that we mentioned, like Heather does a Pretty Little Sith blog, and May does a blog, and Zamzam.
But I tell you, if you go to SWTORnetwork.com, you'll see all the blogs that have come out that week, all the blog articles that have come out that week.
Great resource.
And you can use that.
And then the Twitter, YouTube, podcasts, and the official resources. So a lot is out there outside the game that you can use today. So I like that. I think that's a pretty good wrap up. And with that, our little EPC 98 droid, I think, is ready to get outside the game into an escape pod. And I'm not even gonna say bye to him because he called me a tool.
Just think, 98, only like 4 more.
Yeah, only
episodes, and we'll be at 100.
Yeah, only like 7 more episodes or something. I don't know. We'll have to keep counting. Maybe we'll have to start thinking hard. I guess it's coming up faster and faster. I keep forgetting to remember to plan something out for episode 100. We'll see. So stay tuned. Maybe we'll do something. Maybe we won't. We'll probably have a show.
Drunken podcast.
Okay. So, and also thanks to all of you joining us on newoverlords.com, on iTunes, on YouTube, following us there, or live on Twitch at twitch.tv/newoverlords. And certainly thank you to the chat room. We really appreciate you all joining in and participating. Please follow us on Twitter at MaxTheGray and at AIESEMA, or find us on Jedi Covenant and ask us for an AIE Guild invite. We would be happy to have you. And we will talk to you soon.
Bye, everyone.